I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, October the 23rd, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is proven efficacy at an affordable upfront price, without any BS, end of story. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards, lighter run for them here on this regular Monday feeder cattle auction. Just expecting about 4,000 head, which would be a light run for them. If you've got cattle to sell and maybe you're a small producer and you're worried about going to a big market like that, consider bringing them in on Sunday afternoon. And if you've got small groups of cattle or cattle that need to be singled even, they can run them through their commingled operation and they will sell and be grouped with like kind of cattle. They sell on the high line time around about 11 o'clock in the morning, and they will bring a premium compared to what they bring by themselves or just a few at a time. Also, if you have big bunches of cattle you'd like to sell them from home, consider Primetime Livestock Video. Just get a hold of one of your Joplin Regional Stockyards agents there. Trading Places. And if you guys don't remember Trading Places, maybe some of you younger producers wouldn't, that is a movie that you need to see, if for no other reason but to see Jamie Lee Curtis topless 40 years ago. Very impressive. But it included Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. Dan Aykroyd was a commodities trader, and he worked for these old misers named Randolph and Mortimer. And Randolph and Mortimer saw Eddie Murphy, who was a street beggar at the time, and they decided that they could take, they bet one another they could take Eddie Murphy and turn him into Dan Aykroyd's character and turn him into a commodities trader, a big shot, in a very short amount of time. And they did, and then they were going to leave them both high and dry, and then Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy and Jamie Lee Curtis end up getting together and turning the tables on Randolph and Mortimer, and it included the leakage of a frozen orange juice, concentrated orange juice report that was going to come out and have a major effect on the commodity price for orange juice. Well, the reason that I was thinking about Trading Places is it almost makes you think that the report, the cattle on feed report that come out Friday, was leaked. Why else would your feeder cattle futures go down over $5 100 on nearly all of your months other than October? Just the session right before that cattle on feed report to come out on Friday. The board was down again on Friday right before the report come out at 2 o'clock. But you know, I think really that it was leaked? Actually, no. Would it surprise me if it was? No. Pretty much everything's crooked anymore, so it wouldn't surprise me a bit if it was. What surprises me, you know, I met some of those guys that put those cattle on feed reports together. They couldn't tell you which end of a cow gets up first. And a lot of the traders that I have experienced in Chicago are the same way. Where they get all the information, you know, I'm all the time asking feedlots if they fill out questionnaires about that. Very rarely do any of them fill those things out. I'm not exactly sure how they put all that together, but it's kind of an unnecessary evil if you ask me. I've always told you guys, and you've heard me say that it frustrates me the way that we have to pull the cape off of it every month. And then just kind of pucker our butts up over the weekend wondering what it's going to do to the board. Well, we've been puckering ever since Friday afternoon because the cattle on feed report that come out Friday was very bearish. And you think, my gosh, you know, we've got all these fundamentals going our way. I know, and I don't understand it, but it was very bearish the way that the numbers come out compared to what they thought it was going to be. It's hard to make sense out of, but it is going to jolt things here on Monday. Your cattle board is going to be down big time. I would doubt that it would lock down the limit because we got our daily limit moves so big now that it'd be hard to do that. I assume it'll be down a whole bunch on the open and then kind of come back a little bit. That's what it normally does. But, you know, to tell you how bearish it was, your on-feed numbers, inventory numbers for the 1st of October come in at 100.6. The average of the analyst guess was 99.8. And you think, well, they didn't miss that too far, but it was your placements. And we talked about this on our last visit, on the Friday visit, about how that's such a wide range of guesses on the placement. Well, it came in at the extreme top and even a little bit more than the highest guess, which was way above what your average was. But your placement numbers for September come in at 106.1% of a year ago. And the average of the analyst guess was 101.6. That is extremely bullish, or extremely bearish. I mean terrible bearish. And also your marketings, which is marketing of fed cattle, has been slowed down so much because your packers have really backed off on these chain speeds, trying to get their cutout values higher and resisting higher prices of cattle, and they've really backed off on harvesting these cattle, which means we're not selling as many fed cattle. But the marketings in September come in at 89.4% of a year ago. That, you know, yes, that's 10.5% less cattle than we marketed the same month a year ago. The average in the analyst guess wasn't much more than that, but it was 90.2. But that's a bearish report. And like I said, it's going to jolt things. I think your heavy, high volume feeder cattle auctions, I think they'll be significantly lower here on Monday. I think all your sales will be lower this week coming up. I think the board will be lower big time here on Monday. Then it'll start by Tuesday or Wednesday. It will have forgotten everything, and it'll do whatever it was going to do. We'd probably see it recover some, but it's gonna take a toll on this market. Your inventory by state, I'll give you that on the breakdown of the 5 areas, but your feedlot inventories of cattle by state for the 1st of October, Colorado come in at 93% of a year ago, which we've kind of been knowing that Colorado's not feeding quite as many cattle as they had been. They don't have any trade. When you don't have any price discovery in a state, why would anybody want to feed cattle there? Iowa, 103% of a year ago on feed. Kansas, 106% of a year ago on feed. Nebraska, just 98% of a year ago. And Texas, 101% of a year ago. Now, placements, September placements by state compared to a year ago. Colorado was 93, so fewer cattle went on feed there. Iowa, 104. Kansas, 113. 13% more cattle went on feed in September in Kansas than they did the same month a year ago. Nebraska, 103%, and Texas, 113, which I can believe Texas because it's been crazy dry there in central Texas, and I think it's a little bit off on the months. It's not exactly on the first day of the month, but I think that would be some carryover from back this summer of cattle going on feed there. But very bearish report, and I hate to see that. Your biggest increase in placement weights was in the 800 to 900 pound group. So, you know, we can't blame it on the peewees, or we can't blame it on anything really else. But kind of hard to figure. But we'll just see how bad it is, and that's why it's so frustrating to me to have to deal with that every month when your packers don't have anything. If we got your Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act, one thing that's in there would be that your packers have to tell us how many cattle they have scheduled to deliver to their plant within the next 2 weeks, and that would be good information. They really don't give us hardly any information at all now. They give us carcass weights 2 weeks behind, and that act would also speed that up a little bit too. So I don't know. It seems like everything's stacked against the cattle feeder. But we got a storm coming in this week. And they've had some snow up in the northern plains also. Going to be some more snow and colder temperatures this time, so there will be some ice involved further down in the southern plains and in the southern midsection of the United States. We're going to see some rain. Sounds like maybe some significant rain, like I said, in really dry places of Texas that really haven't seen any significant rain all summer long. Might get some rain. So that's going to be a challenge to people with new purchases of cattle, especially put together cattle that have been unweaned. Oh my gosh, the sick pen is going to grow, and it's the end of October when your sick pen has more cattle in it than your out pen, so you just switch them. But let's talk about your board for last week. October live cattle futures. Monday was up 7 cents. Tuesday was up 30 cents. Wednesday was up 22 cents. Pretty good there on your live cattle futures, but then Thursday down 132, Friday down 12 cents. October live cattle futures ended the week at 184.27, down 85 cents for the week. December ended at 184.62, down 213 for the week. And all your back months were down a lot more because they don't have the threat of delivery for a while, but October couldn't go down too much. October feeder cattle, Monday was down 155, Tuesday was back up 47 cents, Wednesday was down 167, Thursday down 355, day ahead of that report coming out, and then Friday down another $1.75. October feeder cattle ended the week at 241.82, down $8.05 for the week. Wow. So that's major, guys. November was down 9.35 for the week at 242.22. You think those calves you're weaning, guys, that you're planning on selling at the end of the year, somehow you look out there and they've lost $10 $100 in value? Unbelievable. December corn, $4.95.5 at the end of the week. That was up 2 1/4 for the week. November beans, $13.02 1/4, up 22 cents for the week. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for December, up a penny on the week at $6.70 a bushel. Your fat cattle trade up through Thursday, they sold 68,100 head, which is a decent movement. We've had decent movement on a negotiated basis for the last 3 weeks or so. Pretty decent. Your prices were higher again. Live sales steers and heifers 182 to 188. That was steady to $2 higher than the previous week's range. Your weighted average on live steers 186.11. That was up $1.81 for the week. So big gains on cash fat cattle. Why? Because of fundamentals. We don't have very many cattle out there that are ready, guys. And so if your packers want them, they're going to have to ante up to get them bought. Your dress price is $290 to $294.50. Weighted average on dress steers $293.79, up $1.96. We saw higher prices as we went through the week, and then the highest prices, of course, were paid late in the week, mostly on Thursday afternoon late, before they had to turn that into mandatory price reporting. But late Thursday we saw significant trade in your 5-area feeding region on a negotiated basis. Iowa and Nebraska sold cattle live from 186 to 187, $1 to $2 higher than the previous week, and 294 dressed, fully $2 higher than the previous week. Texas and Kansas sold cattle at mostly 185, $1 to $2 higher than the previous week. Box beef cutout values gained some ground last week. They're not a ball of fire. They've yet to really take off and give that fall rally we're looking forward to. But it's bound to happen because that holiday demand is right around the corner, guys. And so that we will see that increase here, or your values on your box beef cutouts increase here pretty quick. But your weighted average on all of last week's choice sales last week, 304.63, up 328. And your late Friday sales were about $0.50 higher than that. Your weighted average on all of last week's select cut sales up 218 compared to the previous week's weighted average at 278.07, and your late Friday sales on Friday were about a $0.50 higher than that on select too. So maybe that's kind of come out of its doldrums. One reason we're seeing your choice start coming back around a little bit. Your choice select spread is up over $26.50 on your weighted average movement last week. As our grading is down, Nebraska is under 80% choice and better. It wasn't very long ago it was a lot higher than that. Kansas about 81%, so Kansas continues to grade better than Nebraska, which is surprising. Texas only grading 64.5% choice or better. Your slaughter 638,000 last week. That's 21,000 better than the previous week, but still 37,000 lower than the same week a year ago. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction ended the week at 241.78. That was down $2.60 compared to the end of the previous week. CME cash feeder cattle index, whatever was wrong with that, they're getting it under control because it is coming back down to earth. Late in the week, the latest available was 243.99, so it finally come back from there, and it was actually down more for the week than your RTI was. Cash feeders in your auctions last week were $2 to $5 lower. Weaned calves fully steady. Unweaned calves $5 to $10 lower, which increases the discount that they trade to the weaned calves. That's getting bigger all the time. Routinely $20, $25 a hundred if you could find some that had the same quality and same flesh condition, which is tough. But you know, I've told you that it's going to be wider this fall than ever, and it is. Your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day for the end of the week last week or over the weekend. St. Onge livestock in St. Onge, South Dakota. That's my buddy Justin Tupper there. They had 8,000 head on Friday. Wow. And a lot of big fancy strings and long strings there, guys. I just pulled out the loads and bigger of 400 to 600, or heavy fours, 480 to 600 pound calves there at St. Onge on Friday, and very impressive, selling from 278 to 327. And it was impressive that they sold so well with that big of an offering there, especially. Going to give you a lot of individual quotes from all over. You might want to put an order in or get online and buy some cattle at Santa Teresa Livestock Auction, Santa Teresa, New Mexico. These are Mexican origin cattle there, but they've already gone across the border. They're on this side selling in the United States. You can buy them off DVAuction.com if you just call in and get approved. On Friday they sold 74 steer calves, weighed 461, bring 270.50. How about impressive market? Crawford Livestock Market in Crawford, Nebraska. 63 steers weighed 700 pounds and bring 272.50. Wahoo Livestock Sales in Wahoo, Nebraska had 54 steers weighed 980 at 239.50. Bet you didn't think they'd still bring that. How about Burwell Livestock Market? Burwell, Nebraska, 97 steers weighed 526 at 344. I think that's the top I've seen on cattle weighing in the fives. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere late last week or over the weekend in your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day come out of Winter Livestock Auction in Winter, South Dakota. They sold the biggest cattle bringing over 3 that I've seen. 90 steers. I heard from Nick Hayes. He sent me a message there on Friday giving me a heads up on that, and I appreciate it. They sell 90 steers, weigh 642, and bring 304 1/4. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.